Hi, I am Little Crochet. I run Triangle Strategy, New Game Plus, all endings. Today I'm going to do a commentated run of the Golden Ending, which is the best ending out of the 4 possible endings that you can get. And just a brief rundown of Triangle Strategy. It is a strategy RPG that was released by Square Enix in early 2022. It has a lot of familiar gameplay if you're familiar with tactics RPGs, which I will talk a little bit during the run, and I'll try to explain the battle setups and strategies as we go along. I won't have a lot of time to explain the first battle because it happens within the first 45 seconds of the run starting, but I will do my very best. Hi, Magical. So, this save file that we have here, The Hawk Flies Free, is a Golden Ending save file, which has a lot of setup already done with our characters, and time will start once I select the difficulty. So it is a speedrun, so we're going on very easy here. So 3, 2, 1. Alright, so the first battle is just introducing our main characters. So there's Sarah, Noah, Roland, Benedict, and Frederica. A lot of the strategy will involve using Frederica, who has pink hair. She is a fire mage, and she will deal a lot of AoE damage to a lot of the enemy units. So the strat that we use is called the Sunfall strat. And the reason why we do this in a lot of the early chapters is because she gets a passive bonus to her magic attack for the weather being sunny. And also the more TP that she has, the greater damage she does. Only 194,000 points. Respect the grind. Alright, so there's going to be a lot happening here, but we're basically going to set Frederica up to use Sunfall, which is her ultimate. So there's this group of enemies up here, which we will place and turn her back on so that she can get one of those bosses to come down towards her. And you'll notice that she's actually charging that attack there. She can't use it immediately. We do need to wait for it, but there are things that we can do to speed it up. It isn't enough to actually finish off those enemies there, so what we have done is just to give Sarah Noah an extra couple of moves with Benedict there. So we are finishing them off now, and we will need to do just a little bit of cleanup after this. So we place Sarah Noah up here. This movement is specific to this map so that we can get the enemies how we want them to. This is Gila. She doesn't do anything in the run. She is just there because we can't place anyone around in this first map specifically. Alright, so I know there was a lot going on there, but I'll explain some of it now. So the additional menu that I was bringing up is called the Quietus menu. So that's something that you as the player has to influence some of the battle. So the Quietuses that I've unlocked specifically for this save file are the ones that we use for the speedrun. The first one is Missed Opportunity, which gets used on the next map. It stops an enemy unit from using their turn. There is Critical Blow, which allows a unit to deal a critical hit regardless of whether or not they are attacking from the back. Next is Light Wave, which allows us to teleport a unit up to 8 spaces away. Then there's Fleet-Footed, which lets us, which gives all units an extra 2 movement on top of their base movement. There's also In Tandem, which allows a unit to take their turn next after the current unit has finished their turn. And the last one is Battle Cry, which gives you an additional 3 TP up to a maximum of 5. So TP is like your magic points in this game. You always start off with 3 at the beginning of the battle. and you will gain 1 once you have completed a turn. So a lot of ultimates will be using Battle Cry so that they can get the extra TP, and this will allow them to use their ultimate moves in battle. Okay. So right now in the story, it's pretty light at the moment. We're introducing a lot of the different factions of Norzelia. So right now we're going to be heading to Glenbrook Castle, and we're going to be going to a tourney there. So that's going to be introducing Esfros, which is in the north, and Hyzant, which is in the east. So they're the two other nations involved in this tourney as well. And we're going to be introducing a bunch of other characters here. So, we just need to skip through to this battle, sorry. So this tournament we're going to be facing off against Hyzant. So we're going to be facing Kamsell and Saucely and some Hyzant warriors. Just need to move a couple of our units around and bring in a couple of different characters. So we do need to re-equip Roland here because for some reason the game counts him leaving and then rejoining the party in that little cutscene that we had before. And we're going to be using all of our Quietus now in this very first turn just to get everyone set up and ready to go. So the enemy units are in a very nice formation for us, so we can chip them down with Frederica here. And we're going to be doing the same on the opposite side with the other mage we just put on Nav. Then we're going to be using Anna here. So Anna is the rogue, I guess, character in this game. She can use, she has 2 actions on her 1 turn, which makes her super useful. But we use a lot of items in the run, and that's specifically because it is more powerful, because it doesn't matter what your strength is. The items will deal a set amount of damage regardless of the strength of the character, unless you're a specific unit which gains bonus to it, like Piccoletta. And it allows us to also do a lot of AoE attacks as well to units. So not a lot of characters have AoE attacks. So with using items in this game, in the run, sorry, we can clear out a lot of enemies. Hello, artifacts. Coming up, we have our very first Scales of Conviction vote. So you'll notice sometimes in the top right-hand corner that it will say morality, liberty, or utility has increased by an amount. So those are Serenoa's convictions. The good thing about New Game Plus is that we don't need to worry about handling those convictions. They're already maxed out on this file. So those convictions will affect how certain characters will vote. And how we can convince certain characters to vote a specific way as well. So in the Scales of Conviction vote, we do want to go with the default vote. So we have a choice of going to Esfros or Hyzant. In this specific case, we want to go to Hyzant because the next battle will be a defeat boss battle as opposed to defeat all enemies. And it is much, much faster in the speedrun. So notice that I also can't skip this cutscene. So any cutscene which has an important piece of information, like showing an important item, if a character leaves or joins the party, or if we need to make a decision on something, means that we can't skip that cutscene. We can only fast forward to it. Another little optimization that we found in the game, which I'm calling the little skip because I found it, is after a cutscene plays, there's a couple of frames at the end where we can fast forward through it as well. So a lot of cutscenes you can do it with. It actually saves 5 minutes total throughout the whole run if you do it. And this fight here, there's not much to explain. We'll just light wave Frederica up and defeat the boss. Because he's weak to fire, she gets her bonus to strength, etc. And he's done. So it's a nice little quick battle. So I'll explain accessories now because I haven't done that just yet. So the reason why Frederica moves first on the map is that she has a Vanguard Scarf equipped. So that allows her to move first on every map that she is deployed on. And a lot of characters are equipped with accessories that are appropriate for their class as well. So mages will generally have magic up accessories. Any physical attackers will generally have strength accessories. And if they are a utility character, so if they give buffs or debuffs, they will have speed accessories just to allow them to move first or close to first on the initiative. And if you move before enemies, it's also faster, so everything kind of compounds. We will be moving the Vanguard Scarf on, but not until much later. It's super useful for Frederica to have it. Like I said, we'll be using her a lot in the early chapters of the game, just because Sunfall has a huge AoE and clears up a lot of the enemy units early on. So that little village we were in is a Rosellan village in the Warfoot domain. And we were visiting because Serenoa and Frederica are planning to get married. And they want to make Frederica a wedding dress, which is super nice of them. We head down to explore the mines. So this is the whole reason why we had the tourney. So it was a joint venture between the three city-states, and we're trying to figure out, you know, what's happening and having a look at what's going on here. There is a little bit of RNG on this map specifically, so that NPC we talked to, his name is Dragan. We want him to move in a specific way in order to finish off the last enemy. He does it sometimes, but not all the time. There's a bunch of new characters that I'm bringing in here as well, which I will explain shortly. So the strategy for this map is starting off with Sunfall, and I'll explain some of the strengths of the new characters that we placed in just now as well. So we're placing Frederica up north here just to clear up this big group of enemies. And the other enemies on this left-hand side will be taken care of by a couple of fire pellets. So this character I'm about to control, Milo, she has a very fast speed stat. She mostly throws items, but she has a lot of movement abilities, so that allows her to reach places that a lot of other characters can't, and that will be used a lot in this run as well. This is Medina here. She's not normally able to grant TP, so she's normally the TP battery. But in this instance, she'll be doing a lot of damage, like I said, with fire pellets. Unfortunately, Dragan didn't do what we wanted him to. It is a slight time loss, but it's not a huge deal. We can recover from that. So we just need to skip through to every unit's turn until we get to Milo again. And then we can finish him off. So if you were trying to go for world record, you would probably reset at this point. What we want Dragan to do is to move down and use Scorch, so he is a fire mage as well, to finish off that enemy. And if we made a major mistake, we can actually just reload the autosave if we needed to, or we can retreat if we made a mistake on how we set up our units. Yeah, the game is very marathon friendly. So, coming up, because we got ambushed in the mines by the Frosty army, we learn that they are trying to take over Glenbrook Castle. So we're trying to rush back in there right now to see what's going on. So this is the start of a bunch of really fast battle maps here. So the point of this one is to get Roland across the finish line. So we want to get rid of a lot of units here. We don't need them. We only need to worry about Roland. And we're going to be using Light Wave and Fleet-Footed to get us across. So normally there will be a bunch of reinforcements that turn up if Roland if you destroy the barrier there, or if Roland ends his turn in this specific area. But the game doesn't count you as finishing your turn in this area because you haven't started yet. So we're going to be using his other movement ability, Rush, here, and we're done. That's it. That's the entire map. So yeah, there are 2 sets of reinforcements that we can just completely ignore. And the next map as well is also going to be really quick. Just a quick recap of what's happening in the story though. We find out that Gustadolph, so he's the leader of the Esfrosti army, he has taken over the castle. He has killed off the king, so Roland's dad, and also his brother, and is keeping his sister Cordelia captive. So we're trying to now escape from the castle as we realize that it's there's a pretty big army in here and we can't take them on. So this map, we need to clear out any enemies in the end line. We're going to do that by not following what they actually want us to do. So they want us to raise that lever that's being guarded there. And clear out the enemies just past that gate. The thing is, if we use that lever to open the gate, there will be 3 enemy reinforcements that pop up, which we don't want. Right now, there's only 2 there. So we're going to light wave through that gate and kill the 2 that are there so that we can clear the battle conditions. So now we have escaped from Glenbrook Castle and are heading back home. So we are given the choice here. So Gustadolph has threatened us with his army to say we need to give up Roland right now, or they're going to come march in on us. So we have a serious scales of conviction vote coming up. So this vote is very important for the golden route ending. Regardless of whether we are doing the golden route or not, the decision is the same, just because the next map after this one will be faster. It's just that how we handle the map itself will change whether or not it's golden route or a regular ending. So we'll have a little cutscene that will come up here where we are doing a very serious talk about what we need to do. We will need to convince someone to do what we want them to do. So the default vote is that we hand Roland over back to Esfrost, but we don't want that. We actually want to defend Roland. And we will be convincing Benedict in just a moment. Okay, so we've decided to defend our best friend Roland from the Esfrosti army, and because we're doing the golden ending, that will change what units we deploy on the map and how we actually tackle it. So there are secret fire traps around the Warfort domain, and we don't want to use those in this specific chapter. We will be using them much later, but for now we want to avoid it. So once you defeat, I think it's 5 enemies on this map, there will be 2 sets of reinforcements that turn up, which is a lot slower. So if you defeat all of the enemies on one map with the same attack, the game counts it as you clearing the map of all enemies. And we are going to be doing that with a couple of characters named Azana and Quahog. So we call this strat the baseline strat. which we used a lot when trying to figure out a route. So if you figured out a route faster than the baseline strat, then you got something really good. So I'm just going to be doing a bunch of setup here. Who do we need? Yeah. Idore, you are not supposed to be here. Okay. Alright, so the point of this strat is that we need to chip down enemies' health. So any enemy that has a high magic defense will need to get their HP taken down a little bit. So we're going to be doing that by using Milo, Maxwell, and Narv up there. So here we just need to take down Avlora a little bit, but every other enemy will get hit at least once, except for like the archers. We are going to be giving Quahog and Izana TP here so that they can use their ultimates. And Maxwell is used here specifically so that he can use an item here. This is one of the maps where Serenoa does nothing and the game still counts it as him winning. And we need these enemies to line up really nicely around Avlora. Sorry. So we'll be using Light Wave with Narv here to get him down into range. And those enemies there, you can see, have made a nice little pattern there. And we're just doing the setup now for the rest of the fight. So it's pretty simple. So we use Rite of Rain here so that it actually boosts any lightning damage attacks. And we'll be using Quahog's ability in just a second here to stop time. So stop time does it on everyone, so both enemy and allied units. But we will turn back time on Izana here. So on Azana's turn, we'll be using her ultimate, which is a lightning attack on all enemy units. Now, normally that ability has a 30% chance to hit. So when we use that ability on enemy units that are stopped, that becomes a 100% chance to hit. And the last thing we're going to do is use In Tandem on her, and we're also going to give her a slight boost in her magic attack again with an Enchanting Spice. And that is enough to defeat all of the enemies on the map. So it's a very, very neat way of completing a map which has a lot of reinforcements. We will be using that strat much later on as well, in a couple of different maps where it turns up. Sometimes there are reinforcements that are time-based, so they turn up regardless of however many enemies are killed. But in a lot of maps where the enemies are based on the amount, the enemy reinforcements, sorry, are based on the amount of kills, the baseline strat is really good to use to clear it up. So, coming up, we've got another vote. It's not important for the golden ending, but we specifically chose the Defend Roland route because this next vote that happens makes the battle become a defeat the boss win requirement as opposed to defeat all enemies. So we have here House Telior have suggested that they can keep Roland safe in their domain. And we know better not to trust him, so we default vote to no, we don't trust him. And we will just ignore your supposed help. So he doesn't actually like that, and the reason he doesn't is because he was working against us, and he was working for the S-Frosty, and was trying to get Roland back. So they come charging at us at the gates. We meet Rufus for the first time. In old routes of the run, we would actually defeat Rufus three separate times during the course of the run. In the golden route, we only defeat him twice. But it's still quite, I guess, quite a lot in terms of how bosses go. So it's really simple for this one. We just need to sub in Frederica so that we can make use of her Vanguard Scarf. And she can't one-shot him, unfortunately, so it will take 2 turns, but it's very easy to circumvent that by using in tandem to get her to move twice. So we're going to be using Light Wave here to get her to move all the way up. Now, the other thing with Rufus is that even though Frederica is here, he decides that he doesn't actually want to fight her and just has a little trap. So yeah, nice quick and easy fight for us. So that was chapter 9 we just finished. Wait, was it chapter 9? No, chapter 8 we just finished. Yeah, it was chapter 8. So we're moving on to chapter 9 now. And we have another Scales of Conviction vote. So we are a little bit indebted to Hyzant here. So they've been trying to help us out a little bit, or are offering to help us out. And Saucely, who is part of Hyzant, he's one of the Saintly Seven, which I haven't really explained lore-wise, but the Saintly Seven are the major leaders, I guess, in Hyzant. And they have said, hey, we want you to deliver this salt for us to Aesfrost. It's not an official salt delivery. They want us to deliver it on the down low. So this is an important decision for the golden route. So for the golden route, we're going to choose to deliver the salt for Saucely. And it's not a default vote, unfortunately. We do need to convince Benedict to allow us to do it. So he's the swing vote in this one. And the reason why we are delivering the salt will be important in this next, not this battle, but the next one afterwards. So for the longest time, delivering the salt was the route to do in both golden and non-golden endings before we found a faster route. So now in the regular endings, we would actually just go by the default vote and go tattle on Saucely. But for this specific ending, we are going to deliver the salt. So on our way to Aesfrost in the north there, we are going to take refuge in an abandoned village, which is where the next battle will take place. So we're going to be fighting Trish and Travis, so the 2 bandits that we fought in the very first map. So they make another appearance. There is a little bit of RNG in terms of how the enemy AI will move around. So if there is a puddle on the ground, so if there's any water, they tend to avoid those. But the route has been figured out enough that we can work around that. So we'll be using Jens in this next map as one of the new characters that gets introduced here. Let me just get this set up. Nope, this goes there. Okay. So there's a bit of fun that we can do with Jens. So Jens uses ladders and traps. So we'll be using his spring trap ability in just a moment, but we just want to stop Trish from moving anywhere, and we do want him to move next. So there's not much we can do to make this map go faster. It is unfortunately a defeat all enemies map. So we just need to go through and kill them one by one. But yeah, we can make him fall, which is fun. And I always have a bit of a laugh every time I do it. So we're just getting enemy units into place here using Quahog's time abilities. Using Maxwell's Traverse as well here, just to get him to move around. And because they're not really grouped anywhere, there's no real good way of clearing this map any faster other than defeating them one by one. So we are going to defeat Trish here. There's a bit of a funny thing that happens on this map, and only on this map, where because of the angles of the houses and things like that, the camera is a little bit out of my comfort zone, so you'll see me moving the camera around quite a bit on this specific fight. So we'll be defeating Travis in just a sec here. And again, with the camera movement. Yeah, so we're getting all the enemies closer, and we're... nope. Sorry, I'm not used to this angle, and it throws me off every time it happens. I usually spin it the other way around, but it's a little bit slow, so... Oh, damn. This is fine. Should have used an item. Alright, usually I shouldn't have mashed through Medina's double items. That fight would have been over a couple of enemies ago, but I messed up on the inputs on that one. But that's okay. Alright, so we are heading to Twins Gate, which is where the salt will be delivered. We're meeting up with Svarog, who is Frederica's uncle. And something I didn't say that happened in Chapter 4 was that Dragan, the NPC who was fighting with us, he was actually killed in the mines. And Svarog is his dad. So he's pretty upset that his, son has died, and we're trying to appeal to him, but we have a secret, which is Roland's secret identity. So we're going to choose to reveal Roland's identity to Svarog here in order for him to gain his trust. And it's with that this is the secondary key for the golden ending. So we need this information in order to get the ending. So when we're discussing with Svarog Roland's identity, so something I also didn't explain partly in the story is that we faked Roland's death. So he is still with us, but he's put on a mask and hat and is no longer Roland. Anyway, there is a spy here who has also heard that Roland is alive. So we've had to kill that spy, and some enemy units have come up here. So we're going to fight Sycras. This is the first time we fight him. It won't be the last. And I just need to get everyone set up here. I think that's everyone. So this map here has a lot of verticality, which makes it a little bit difficult for us to move around. We're going to be using all of our Quietus again here. So in tandem on Nav. And we're going to be moving Frederica all the way here. The reason why we place her here is that it will get Sycras to move out. And we use Nav because he has really good range with his whirlwind here. We're going to be making good use of Anna and her double items to clear out a lot of these groups of enemies. And twofold turn again with Anna makes it really good. So we're just going to chip off the rest of these enemies, and we're going to be doing that with Milo and now Anna. Yeah. And another map where Serenor does absolutely nothing. And that is Sycras done. Hicks, hello, thank you for the good luck. So just doing commentary so that I can get this commentated run updated. So now that that's done, Svarog gives us a bunch of money, which we won't be using. And that is the chapter done. So what is coming up next? Chapter 10. Yeah, where we are heading into chapter 10. Or was that chapter 10? No, that was chapter 10. We're heading into chapter 11 where we head back home. And they deal with Saucely. So they find out that he is dealing salt illegally. And they have gotten rid of Saucely. So now they have an empty Saintly 7 seat, which they offer up to Serenor. And they have requested that we give up the Rizal that are living in our domain. So we are heading into the source here and find out what's actually happening. And we see that they're not treating the Rizal kindly at all. They have enslaved them and said that basically they need to atone for their sins, so they're working here forever. And the good thing about this next upcoming vote is that the default vote is that we don't want to give up the Rizal, so we want to defend them. So not only is it the fastest route, but it's also the best route morally. Like, we don't want to give them up to Hyzan. So because we are choosing to defend the Rizal here, it makes the next chapter a really fast exploration, so we completely avoid the chapter 12 battle. And in chapter 11, we're going to be fighting Rufus again, but this time he is with Silvio. So this fight here usually has reinforcements, but we're going to be bringing in one of my favorite characters. His name is Decimal, and he is basically he's an arithmetician, I think is his class specifically here. Let's see. No, I need to get rid of Nav. Good luck, you have an ad? I'm sorry. Oh, he can't hear me. So with this specific map, we're going to be using Sunfall, but not at full TP. That will leave some enemy units with HP, but that's what we want. So if we defeat, I think, 5 enemies in this map as well, then there will be reinforcements that turn up, but we're going to be defeating every enemy with Decimal's ability in a moment. So we want every enemy to have their HP that is divisible by 3. Whoop. What am I doing? Okay, ad's gone. Good luck. Thank you, Duo. So we're going to be chipping down a lot of the enemy's HP here. There are some that we will defeat, but that's okay. We just need to not meet that threshold. We got the good RNG. So Jerome there, he's another NPC on this map. He will have a conversation with Frederica if he gets too close. So he didn't this time, so he doesn't have a little conversation there. And we're almost done with this map, so we're going to be finishing off, like I said, with Decimal and avoid the reinforcements. Not the size of the Sunfall, it's how you use it. Just like how you talk about the size of your heart. Right. Alright, so, as I said before, this chapter 12 that is coming up is really quick. We just need to show the Elder here, some salt, and that will complete chapter 12 for us. Chapter 11, sorry, I forgot to mention, is also another key for the golden ending. We do need to defend the result, even if it was faster and better morally. Just because we do need to show the salt, the pink rock salt there. So this long cutscene skipping that I am going to do right now is leading up to another quick battle. Right now we're learning about a bunch of things moving in the background, what's happening back with Cordelia and Gustadolph. But it's at this point where Hyzant have said, we can help you take back Glenbrook Castle. And to do that, they're going to give us a weapon called Elfric. It's basically a magic bomb. And this chapter 13 vote that's coming up is the first of the 3-way votes that we'll see. So we have a couple of options of what we can do with Elfric, and one of them is to destroy a dam and flood the city. A second one is to infiltrate the castle and destroy one of their warships so they can't escape. The next one is to destroy the bridge connecting the city and the castle and trapping everyone in the castle. And for this one, it's a nice skip vote that we can do. We want to actually destroy the dam. And the reason for that is that the battle, it's basically a non-battle. We need the win condition of the next fight is to get all of the enemies out of the end area. So we're going to be doing that with Quahog and using Benedict again with a 2-fold turn. So we're doing a bit of investigating here just to try to figure out what we need to do. The game wants you to stealth in, so they want us to turn off some lamps. And we're not going to do that. Again, the game doesn't count your first step into an area if you haven't technically taken your turn yet. So if it's the start of a unit's turn, then we pretty much can ignore some of the conditions pretty safely. We do need to remove a couple of units in just a second here. So anyone that moves faster than Quahog, we need to remove. Yeah, if you step into the light, then reinforcements will turn up, but that won't happen here. We'll be avoiding it completely. So that's Sycras there. Technically, we don't really defeat him, but we do see him again. So we'll be moving past this guardsman there. Definitely didn't see anything. And we are done. Oh, picks. I've decided to call the little fast forward skip that I found little skip. Because you just do a little skip at the end of things. And it makes it easier to remember than saying fast forward. Because confusing that with other fast forward. So, this is one of the few unskippable cutscenes that we are seeing here. We have to see the city get destroyed, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm naming it Little Skip. I think it suits. It's easy to remember. Alright, so now that we have destroyed part of the city, we are going to fight Thalas and Erika, who are Frederica's brother and sister here. They're definitely evil. We don't like them. We're not going to be using Sunfall here, but we will be using Frederica to get Thalas and Erika in a specific spot. And we're going to be utilizing Roland here, because he will be able to defeat them fairly quickly. So standard using twofold turn on Roland here, and 2 back attacks will finish up Erika and then Thalas. Okay, so slow down and you're listening to the song. You can hear the song in Lyla's fight, which is coming up later. Yeah, that song, it is named Combat Destiny, is a great song. It is my favorite, I think, of the OST. What are we up to? Chapter 14. Chapter 14? Yeah, chapter 14. We just finished chapter 14. We're up to chapter 15, sorry. And we have another 3-way vote. So this is where another key to the golden ending comes in here. So the good thing about this vote is that it's the default vote. The bad thing about this vote is it's technically not the fastest route, but we have to do it for the golden ending. Aggie, hello. So on this specific vote, Frederica, Benedict, and Roland each want to do their own thing. So we will be losing 2 characters temporarily. We are going to take Benedict's option and return to the Wolfert domain and say hi to our dad. Because it's been a while since we've actually been back there. The reason why this route isn't the fastest is that it is a defeat all enemies map. So the one that we would have gone to if this was non-golden route would be Roland's ending, but we are doing the golden route today. Hope I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty good. A little cold, but good. I hope you're alright today. So, we are having a great feast back home with Dad. A lot of people are invited. And unfortunately, the Patriarch has decided that he wants to assassinate dear old Dad here. And we are going to stop that from happening. So there's a bunch of party crashes coming in here. So I'm just gonna get this set up, and I usually tend to forget something. So we need Maxwell. Medina. I'm going to equip Mohawk here. Okay. I think that's okay in terms of... Oh. Okay, we're all good. Doing alright, it's almost the weekend. Yes. It's Friday tomorrow. Alright, so for this map here, we are going to be getting rid of all of the enemies, and we're going to be using Dad as well in the fight. So the hard part about this fight is that there are enemies in the ledges, which makes it difficult to reach them, but we'll be using Decimal here just to chip them down a little bit, and then we'll finish them up later. Again, making good use of Anna's act twice here. And the placements of where people are is super important, just because we need to get people to move down in certain places, and how everyone is set up is dependent on how you move as well. Sorry, it's meant to do this. Nope, this one. Okay, alright. We should be okay. So we are placing people, placing Maxwell here specifically so that the archer can come down, and same with the mage. And Archibald will finish off this last healer, and the rest of the enemies will be finished off by Serenol and Dad. Holiday in Germany? Yeah. We've run out of basically a lot of holidays in Australia, unfortunately. They get used up pretty early in the first half of the year. So that is chapter 15 done and dusted. We are coming up to the last part of the game. We're not at the ending yet. So with the golden ending, there is an additional, I think, 3 fights that happen. We can't skip these cutscenes because Roland and Frederica need to rejoin our party. Next public holiday is October? I think so, yeah. King's birthday, I think. Or Labor Day. Whichever one. Get our first one since January in the US. Very nice. Yeah, we need more public holidays, let's be honest. More days off, please. Okay. Chapter 15 is done and dusted. We are now going to head back into the mines. So we've pretty much ignored it for the entire time we've been here, but we've found some suspicious activity by the Rusty in the mines. So we are investigating it and trying to figure out what are they doing here. And we can see that they've done a lot of expansion since we were last here in chapter 4. King's birthday in June? Yep, that's it. So we're going to be using the baseline strat for this chapter. The fun part about this is that to do some chip damage to the enemy, we're going to be running one of them over with the minecart, which I always find a little funny. We need hogs in. Yeah, everyone's basically in. Okay. Okay, so we need to chip down a bunch of the mages, some of the swordsmen, and we're going to be doing that with Anna here and with Archibald in a moment. Everyone does have a purpose in this map, so thankfully Serenor doesn't just get a dead turn. And Medina again here giving a TP to these guys. Okay, so that is everyone chipped down. So now we do everything else exactly the same. So the game wants to tell you to not let any of the bombs go off. So that won't be happening in this strat. If the bombs go off, then it is a lose condition of this map. The reason why we also use the baseline strat for this specific fight is that there are 2 sets of enemy reinforcements that turn up. If we, I can't remember the number for it, but if we kill, it's probably 5. If we kill 5 enemies, then the reinforcements will turn up. They're also very far away, so it's awkward to get to them. So defeating everyone with Rite of Thunderstorms, and we clear the map up pretty quickly. The other favorite thing about that map is that we can make it rain under the caves, and no one questions why. Why does that happen? So now we're heading into the last little bit of the game. So chapter 17 is the turning point for whether we decide we're doing the golden ending or if we're doing one of the other endings here. We have chapter 17 is specifically just the vote, and we have a little thing where we say we're going up against the menu boss because there is it prompts you to ask whether you want to save, and it's different every single time. It's different to every other time that the game asks you to save, so it's the opposite of the opposite input that we need to do. So sometimes if you're not paying attention, it does throw people off. So there's a bunch of questions that Serenor will have to ask himself in order to get the golden ending. And we'll be doing that in just a moment here. Here we go. Okay, so there must be another way. So this is where we will converge all of the convictions into one. And we'll be doing one of my other favorite things. I have a lot of favorite moments in this game, where we will be splitting the party into 3 separate regiments and taking on a bunch of different fights. Here we'll get Avlora. So we will be actually using Avlora in one of the fights. Because we've only got one of specific... Don't proceed. No, don't proceed. Wait, yes. Oh, fuck! Damn it. I pressed the wrong button. I got confused. It's okay. We can reload. I'm pretty sure if we... It might not have a save beforehand. It's okay. I do have another save. Chapter 17 part 1. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know. Okay, no, that didn't save. Okay, that's fine. We will load an older save. Where is it? Here. This is a much older save, but it will do. That's my bad. I got confused with the inputs because I thought I was pressing don't proceed, but that's wrong. Okay, we're just gonna go through this again. Yeah, some of the equips might be wrong, but that's okay. I need to make sure that I am not skipping through that section to bring that up because it confuses me every time. Hey, we get to see Avlora again. Okay. Okay, we need to re-equip Roland. Okay, we need to have the Vanguard Scar on Quahog and magic accessories. Okay, so and I think I need to re-equip Osabara. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. Now we're all good. There was a bunch of accessories which I knew needed to fix, and I did. It's fine. It's all good. Okay, so we have split our units into 3 separate armies. First up, we are going to be doing Benedict's fight here. So the reason why we didn't use the traps in Chapter 7 earlier is that we're going to be using them in this fight. So what we need to do is lure the enemies into a specific area and then activate the traps. So there's normally reinforcements that turn up on this fight as well, but that won't happen because we are defeating them all in one fell swoop. There is going to be a bunch of waiting around on this fight as we're waiting for enemies to move in. And we only need 2 units here. So everyone else can leave. So what we need to do is move Quahog down pretty far south so that the enemies can get tempted by him and start moving towards him. Unfortunately, we can't get all of the enemies into place, so the other reason why we use Quahog here is to get the last couple of enemies into the correct positions. Oops, nope, bird of prey, bird of prey. So we just boosted, nope, he does nothing. We just boosted Quahog's movement there, which is necessary for this specific fight. And we've got almost there. We just need to wait one more. Before turn. Last couple of enemies we'll walk through, and then we can finish up. Hold on, in tandem. So we get this last healer into place. And we also get Exharme into place too. And then we set off the fire trap. So the other thing that's not present in this game is permadeath. So getting caught in a big fire doesn't count as permanent death for Exharme, unfortunately. So we will be fighting him again. Next up, we have Roland's regiment, and we will be in Esfrost and fighting Gustadolph. So we will be using Avlora and Jens. So similarly to before with Jens, we'll be using the spring trap to get Gustadolph into place. Thankfully, the fight is defeat Gustadolph only, so it is fairly quick. The other reason why we're going to be using Avlora in the next fight is that she has a passive ability where if you deploy less units, she gains a boost to her stats. So it's like she has a Vanguard Scarf equipped without having an actual Vanguard Scarf. And the only reason why we want to do that is so that we can tempt Gustadolph to go the direction that we want him to go, and also so that we can use in tandem on Jens in just a moment. So we don't need everyone for this fight. We do need Jens. Just 3 units is fine. So we just move Avlora up here and use the spring trap, and that will mean Gustadolph will come straight down, and then we can use Battle Cry. We also use Critical Blow here, even though we don't specifically need it, just because, unfortunately, Roland's attack will miss if we don't use Critical Blow, so it's just a guaranteed hit to use it. His accuracy, I think, on Gustadolph is still low, even with the critical bracelet. Not critical, the accuracy bracelet. And last but not least, we have Frederica's fight, which is going to be happening in the source. So we want to free the Roselle that are currently there. This fight is the longest fight out of all of them. There are reinforcements that turn up, that there is unfortunately nothing we can do about those reinforcements. We've already used Quahog on another map. And the other thing is that the boss of this map, his name is Kamsell, he actually heals from lightning. So even if we did attack everyone with lightning, he would actually recover health. So we can't use the baseline strat here. We do need to get everyone in place though. Nope, that's correct. That's not. Okay. So the reason why we use Hosobara is that she is like Quahog in that she can move units around. She just can't do... we don't really use her for anything else. So we just use her to push Nav here. There is also a glitch that we will be using on this map here. So I'll be doing that in just a moment. Sorry, this fight is difficult for me to remember because there's so many steps involved. Okay, so we're setting it up now with Quietus here. So what we want to do is cancel out of the shadow stitching, use fleet-footed. And normally fleet-footed only has 1 turn use, but because I cancelled out of the shadow stitching bind there, it now has 2 uses. So people can now have further movement for 2 turns instead of just the 1. So now we'll just be chipping some people down here. We are going to be using Sunfall and Maxwell's ultimate here in a moment. So all of the enemies are grouped in a nice spot there. Okay, so we want in tandem, and we want to move Frederica. Okay, so Frederica here will be using Sunfall in this group. We're going to be using Medina's fast-acting medication to get her to move faster. And that should activate the reinforcements and Kamsell as well to come forward. He was in a different spot than I'm used to. So Maxwell, that's okay. We can, that's alright. Normally all three enemies would be gone, but it was in the wrong spot. Kamsell was not in the right spot. That's okay. Okay, that's right. A little bit messy, but we got there in the end. We're heading into the pointy end of the game now. There's only 3 battles left. So the last couple of people we need to fight is Exharme again. So this is the end of Exharme now. We are going to be using the baseline strat. So there are enemies, there are reinforcements, sorry, on this map, but we don't need to worry about them, as they don't have a high enough magic defense for us to, yeah, worry about them, really. This is a really big open field, which is why we are doing the baseline strat here. And we don't need a lot of people at all, so we need to get rid of basically everyone, except for Azana. And Quahog and Roland. Okay. So there's a lot of pikemen here. They're all pretty weak, and we can defeat them really easily. So just giving everyone TP here so that Roland can use his ability. And we're going to be using Lightwave to get him all the way up here to Exharme. Yeah, depending on his opportunity attack to get rid of that healer. And yeah, we don't really care about those enemies that turned up, and Serenoa wins by doing nothing again. And it's at this point that everything is pretty much normal. So Rite of Rain, everything's pretty standard. It's actually beneficial if Roland dies, but he doesn't often die in this point, because it's just another character that has to go through the stop motions. So... And now we wait, and I can finally have some water. Okay. Alright, so this next fight is the second to last fight. We will be up against Lyla. So we are heading into towards the Saintly Seven. So chapter 19 also has my favorite battle tune as well. And it is a fairly long fight. There's a lot of steps involved in it, and I tend to mess it up a little bit. So hopefully I can get this done and out the way without any mistakes, I mean. Okay, so we don't need Azana, Hewitt, Roland. No, we do need Roland. We don't need Gila. Milo, Archibald, Decimal. Okay. Pretty sure that is meant to be. Yeah. Okay. There's no reinforcements on this map, but we still need everyone to be in a specific spot. We're not going to be using the baseline strat here. I just need to remember all of the steps involved. So this isn't my favorite song, it'll come up in just a moment. In tandem, and because I tend to forget battle cry. She's in the wrong spot. There we go. Okay, so we're using target 3. So tripping down a lot of the enemies here with Decimal, then target 4. Okay. I found it was actually faster just to leave Medina where she is, because she just boosts Frederica for this fight. Okay. So, the remaining enemies are fairly easy to get rid of. Lyla always goes for Decimal there. We are just going to get Frederica to move fast again. And Milo would get in the last hit. Okay. We are heading into the very last fight here with Idore. So I haven't mentioned that name at all. He is actually the mastermind of everything to do with Hyzant. And it wouldn't be a JRPG without a giant boss. So we get the only time that you see a giant boss is in the golden ending, and that's with Idore. He does get a bunch of boosts that hopefully will not happen. So we're going to be using Roland to kill him off. We are going to be changing Roland's equipment here as well. So normally we have the accuracy necklace on here, but we're changing that in exchange for more strength with the obsidian necklace. And hopefully with some good RNG, we'll be able to pull time when victory turns up. There's a bunch of things we need to do. fleet-footed, battlecry, and in tandem on Roland. There will be some conversation here happening. 88% chance to hit. Oh, of course it had to happen. That's okay. We can reset. That's okay. Yeah, so that's going to happen sometimes. It's just dependent on if you're lucky or not. So we'll load the quick save first. So I believe there is fixed RNG once you load into the map, so we do need to do something a little bit different. So we're going to do battle cry afterwards, and hopefully that will fix it. Because if you do the same movement again, he will miss. So hopefully that will fix it, and if not, then we'll have to do the safe way. There it is. That was what was meant to happen. Okay, and that's time. So there's going to be a bunch of cutscenes that come up. And I'll skip through pretty much all of them. It's a long time. Thank you for the GG. I had a couple of mistakes, but that's alright. Triangle strategy is very marathon safe. Like I said, there is autosaves that you can generally go back to, or if you mess up too badly, you can retreat. So it's still recoverable in terms of the game itself. And this is the final happy scene that we get. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and apologies for mistakes, and I appreciate everyone for being here. I don't have anything else to really say. Looks like a super fun speed game. It is fun. I personally love it. It's my one and only speed game, so it's my favorite. I'll have to send you some notes and stuff at some point. I can do solo commentary, but it is hard for me to do it while I'm trying to concentrate, so yeah. I'll send you notes, Aggie.